Hello everyone, welcome to English Now. We are going to discuss today another chapter which is degree of comparison from this adjective chapter again. Degree of comparison we hadn't discussed, this was the left. We have to discuss this, we're going to do this now. Let's talk about this video is going to be useful for whom? For exam aspirants as always and learners of spoken English. This video is going to be benefited for both of these people. Now I've brought a question for you. Listen to this carefully. Who is taller? If you listen to a 10-year-old child or a basketball player, if you talk about these two, who will be taller? Again, next question. Which is better? Studying regularly or studying one day before the exam arrives? And what is the best feeling in the world? These are the questions. In all these sentences, we are doing what? We are comparing. And whenever we compare, we use something powerful in grammar, and that is called degrees of comparison of adjectives. This is the same thing that we're going to discuss in today's video. But what is a degree of comparison? Let's talk. An adjective describes a noun. We all know this. Adjective talks more about noun. For example, Ram is tall. This book is interesting. So tall and interesting are giving more information about the respective nouns. But when we compare qualities between two or more people or things, the adjective changes its form. That change is called degree of comparison. So today we're going to talk about the changes that adjective acquires while comparing between two or more than two things or objects. There are three degrees. These are positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree. We'll talk about these three clearly one by one. So let's start with first one, which is positive degree. What they are? The positive degree shows a simple quality. There's no comparison. It doesn't talk about the comparison at all. Sometimes it does. How? We'll talk about that also later on. For example, Ram is tall. This question is difficult. She's intelligent. In all these examples, we are just describing. There's no comparison happening at all. We're only describing. We are not comparing Ram with anyone else. But sometimes, as I told you earlier, that positive degree uses comparison. Yes, it does. How? By using as adjective and then as. For example, Ram is as tall as Sham. So in positive degree, if we have to use comparison, we use as, and in between we add adjective. This book is as interesting as that one. So interesting is adjective, and as are covering this adjective. Structure will be as plus adjective, which is in the positive form, plus as. And if you have to say this in positive, you have to follow this. But if you have to say this in a negative form, you will use Ram is not as tall as Mohan. This movie is not as good as the previous one. Important thing to remember over here is that in positive degree comparison, the adjective does not change. Adjective always remains same. This is the only thing that we have to keep in mind while talking about the positive degree. Now the next one which is going to come over here is that comparative degree. What these are? A comparative degree is used when we compare two persons or things. Just remember, the comparison happens between two people or things only. Usually we add er at the end of the short adjectives, or more when we talk about the long adjectives. For example, if we have a short adjective which has short syllables, for example, tall, so we add er at the end of this word and it becomes taller. Small becomes smaller. Fast becomes faster. So er has been added at the end of these small syllable words, tall, small, and fast. Sentence can be made as Ram is taller than Shyam. So taller than, then this car is faster than that one. Over here also er has been used as faster. So structure can be subject, then we have to use verb plus comparative degree, and then THAN, then last will be the object. Long adjectives can be beautiful, which have more than two syllables, or at least two. So we use more with it and it becomes more beautiful. Intelligent becomes more intelligent. Difficult becomes more difficult. Let's talk about some sentences related to this. She is more intelligent than her brother. This exam is more difficult than the last one. Important rule we need to keep in mind while talking about this is that comparative degree is always followed by then. THA and then we have to use this always right after the comparison when we are doing this in the degree. The next is superlative degree. What these are? Superlative degree is used when comparing more than two. Remember, in comparison we use two, but in superlative we are using the comparison is happening between more than two. It shows the highest or lowest degree of a quality. So degree of quality will be either highest or the lowest. We use est at the end of short adjectives or most at the end of long adjectives. So short adjectives, the same example we're going to take as we discussed in the comparative degree. Tall. Short adjective this is, we have used est at the end of it and have made tallest. Small becomes smallest. Fast becomes fastest. Let's talk about examples that we've met. Ram is the tallest boy in the class. So there can be lots of boys and Ram is the tallest one. This is the fastest train in India. The plus est has been used. In the long adjectives, we have example beautiful. The word in superlative degree becomes most beautiful. Intelligent becomes most intelligent. An example we have, she is the most intelligent student in the school. So the most we have used in the superlative. This is the most interesting chapter. There can be lots of chapters and this is the most interesting chapter. So comparison is happening between at least three or more than that. Important you need to keep in mind is that superlative degree usually takes the before it. So the, then superlative degree, and this is how we complete the sentences. Now we have another word which we use as adjective called irregular adjectives. Some adjectives do not follow the normal rule. They have a different word spoken altogether in comparative and superlative form. For example, good is a word. In comparative it becomes better, in superlative it becomes best. All the words are different. They are called irregular adjectives. Now we have some more words. Bad becomes worse in comparative and worst in superlative. Many becomes more and then most. Little becomes less and least in comparative and superlative forms respectively. So you can see that these are words which become a new word in the comparative and superlative form. Now we have far becomes farthest and farthest. Examples that we can make using these are, this book is better than that one. He is the best player in the team. Today is worse than yesterday. She has less money than before. These forms must be memorized. After doing this, we're going to talk about some important rules and exceptions, which are double consonant rule. So, for example, big is a word. It becomes bigger and biggest. So, in the end, it uses extra G. Hot becomes hotter and hottest. And if there is any word which ends in Y, we replace Y with I and then add ER in comparative form and EST in the superlative form. So happy becomes happier and happiest. Easy becomes easier and easiest. Two-syllable adjectives sometimes take both forms. Yes, so clever becomes cleverer in comparative form and can also be more cleverer because it is a two-syllable adjective. Clever, clever, two-syllable adjective. It can be cleverer also and more clever as well. Now let's talk about avoiding double comparison. What these are? So incorrect would be saying more better because this will be double comparison. We don't have to use it. Correct form will be just better without more. Incorrect again in the superlative form will be most fastest because EST is already in the superlative form. So using most with it will be incorrect and correct will be using just fastest. That will be the correct form of saying. So this was avoiding double comparison. Now with this, we are moving further and going to talk about transformation of degrees. What these are. Very important for the examination. When we talk about some sentences, using these we can understand that how transformation of degrees are used. So in comparative form, when there is a sentence, Ram is taller than Shyam. To make it positive, we can use Shyam is not as tall as Ram. In superlative, it can be Ram is the tallest of the two when there are only two. Another example that we can use using superlative, let's start from that. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. The highest means there's no other mountain which is highest or tallest than this. Mount Everest is higher than any other mountain in the world is in comparative form, and in positive it will be no other mountain in the world is as high as Mount Everest. These questions are frequently asked in the exam. Now let's talk about some common errors that students make and you don't have to use or make these. Using then with superlative. You don't have to use THA and then with superlative. So wrong will be saying he is the tallest than me. No, that will be wrong. Correct will be saying instead he is taller than me. ER and then. Now forgetting the in superlative. This is also a wrong thing. You don't have to forget the, always use it. So wrong will be saying she's smartest girl without the. No, that will be wrong. Correct will be saying instead she is the smartest girl. The and EST. Comparing two with superlative. So whenever comparison happens between two, we always have to use comparative form. So wrong will be saying of the two brothers, Ram is the tallest. No, the EST we don't have to use. That will be superlative. We have to use comparative when comparing between two. So correct will be saying of the true brother, Ram is taller. So conclusion will be, today we understood positive degree, which says no comparison, comparative degree, comparison between two, superlative degree, comparison among more than two, at least three or even more than that. So that will be superlative comparison. Remember, these were the points that we discussed. Now, that's it for today's video. In the next video, we'll again meet. How did you like the video? You could share your opinions down in the comment box. We'll again meet. Until then, take care and thank you for watching.